Again, is the president in over his head? Joining us now from Washington, Fox News analyst Newt Gingrich, host of the DVD Ronald Reagan Rendezvous with Destiny. All right, market's up 500 points today. President Obama looked relaxed on 60 Minutes last night with Leno last week. How are you assessing it? Is the guy, do you think he's going to grow into the job?
Well, I think he's trying to do a different job, Bill, than you want him to do. I think that he is committed to redistributing wealth in this country, creating a huge government, transferring power to a radical secular left. And I think from his perspective, he's doing just fine. He passed a $787 billion stimulus package. He passed a $400 billion appropriations bill. Speaker Pelosi is going to try to ram his entire budget through the House next week on one vote, with a huge energy tax increase, with a huge tax increase on charities, on people who are investors. And I'm not so sure that this administration is all that worried about the economy. I think they're worried about power. And I think they think right now they're winning because they are reshaping the laws and the structure of government in the United States.
But how could he possibly think he's winning when now he's enraged most of the American public? Not just people who don't like him from the jump, but ordinary working people are furious. They know it at the White House. This AIG thing, the unintended consequence of this, Mr. Speaker, and you know this more than anybody else, the unintended consequence is it's got people paying attention. They're zeroed in now. They're locked in now. And they're going, hey, maybe President Obama doesn't know what he's doing. Maybe John McCain was right.
Well, I think, look, I happen to think that there is a lot wrong with the Bush-Obama plan. And I think you have to recognize with Geithner as Secretary of the Treasury, this is the Bush-Obama plan. It's a continuation of what Bush was doing. It is the same payoff to the same big corporations, taking care of the same people who turned out to be incompetent, and in some cases shouldn't be bailed out.
But now the folks have turned. See, look, nobody knew what President Bush was really doing. I mean, because we were concerned with other things. I mean, I wasn't locked in on it. But now, if you look at the Rasmussen poll, this is fascinating. I mean, every day, President Obama's unfavorables are going up, 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 and up. And it's not just, as I said, among conservative Republicans. It's people going, hold it, this guy doesn't know what he's doing.
Look, if the White House was truly concerned, they would be thinking about firing Geithner. They would be looking at rewriting their budget. I mean, remember, this is a budget that the Congressional Budget Office said was off by $2.9 trillion in how much they're going to borrow. And are they changing it? No. Speaker Pelosi is going to try to ram through the biggest spending budget, biggest deficit budget, biggest tax increase budget in American history on one vote next week. Now, that tells me they're still confident, they're still arrogant enough to believe they can run over the American people. I don't disagree with you that the American people are increasingly unhappy, but I think the attitude of the left-wing machine in Washington is that they have power right now. They're going to use that power. They're going to run over anybody who gets in their way. They're going to embarrass and attack anybody who questions them. And I think that they would tell you privately that they're winning because they're changing the law and changing the tax structure.
How, from your vantage point in Washington, how in charge is Barack Obama? I mean, what I'm trying to figure out is who is the puppet master there? And I don't use the puppet. I'm not saying that Barack Obama is a puppet. He isn't. He's a brilliant man. I do believe Barack Obama is brilliant. I do. But who is whispering in his ear? Is it Rahm Emanuel? I don't think he trusts Nancy Pelosi. I don't think Obama does, from my vantage point.
No, but look. He clearly... There's a machine.
But who's in charge of the machine?
I think you'd have to say that on legislation, that Speaker Pelosi is number one, that Senator Reid is number two, and that the president keeps going along with them. I mean, they're writing the bills they want.
How about
at the White House?
Yeah, who's in charge?
I think the president's in charge. I think he's a very bright, strong-willed person. I think he probably relies heavily on Rahm Emanuel. I think clearly they've been disappointed in Geithner. But I think that overall, you'd have to say the president's still in charge. But notice his operating style. I mean, his operating style is to let Nancy Pelosi write the bill, to try to get it through the Senate without any amendments, to ram things through, and then to say, oh gosh, I'm really sorry there were 8,000 set-asides, and next year I won't sign these earmarks, but this year I'll sign them because after all, this year's not next year, so how can you ask me to veto them this year?
How did you read Dodd, Senator Dodd last week, who is the architect of the AIG stuff because of his Senate Finance Committee chair? How did you read him throwing Obama under the bus, saying, hey, it wasn't me.
Look,
we kicked it right back to them, and they included all of this crazy AIG stuff in there. They okayed the bonuses. That looked like a fissure to me.
Well, first of all, it's a lie. The fact is, Senator Dodd didn't have to write it in there. He's not a puppet. He's an freely elected U.S. senator. He's chairman of a committee. If he didn't want it, all he had to do was say no. So it's just plain dishonest to not be clear about how this happened. Second, the White House legislative liaison is his former chief of staff. So who's kidding who?
All right. Mr. Speaker, always a pleasure. Thank you.